Everybody's here. All right, we'll start. I'll wait for my picture to show up. That's okay. Welcome to the Library Board meeting. It's Thursday, June 8th, 2023, 4 p.m. We are in the City Hall Council chambers, and I will call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. So we all have that in our packet. I would take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions about the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. We have an agenda, and the next thing on the agenda is to introduce our new board member, Lynn Hanley. Lynn, why don't you say a few words about your experience with the library and how happy you are to be here?
Well, I used it daily while I was growing up. And first of all, thank you for having me on the board. I'm happy to serve. I loved the library as a child. I have I moved away and I recently moved back, and the bulk of my moving materials are the thousands of books I have. And that was all inspired by the library way back when.
Oh,
So-
that's very nice of you. Thank you.
Happy
Bravo,
to be
bravo.
back here.
Welcome, Lynn. Welcome, Lynn. Thank you very much. Now, move on. We'll approve. We have the minutes from our last meeting, which was May 11th. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Also move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions about or corrections with those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have minutes. Now, financial report, April.
All right, we are 41.37% through 2023, and our budget is approximately 37.83% expended. Some of the bills that we paid during May included $278 to Demco for book jackets, $109 to Gog Sheet Metal to repair the HVAC unit that serves the children's hallway, $287 to U-Line for a safety railing for the library's roof. We discovered that we were not quite as safe or in compliance as we could be with the way the door opens on the roof. So we added the railing to make sure we were safe there. $305 to Verizon for service to the 8 hotspots that we circulate, and $196 to Imprint for promotional materials, and then $4,676 to TSG Server and Storage, Inc. for purchase of computers and monitors. We're currently on a 4-year replacement schedule for our staff and patron computers at the library. And this year we replaced Megan's laptop, the dock and monitors for her station, and then the 4 shared staff desktop computers that we use at the service desk, and then there's also one in the staff room. And then just a note, the city is completing their annual audit. The city department heads have been invited to a meeting with the auditors next Tuesday, which I plan to attend.
Okay, good, good. Any comments or questions or concerns about the financial report? I know we're moving on to the budget. Where does the time go? Just roll right through. But, all right, hearing nothing about the financial report, let's move on to the library department activities. And please tell us how the bird who's nesting on the top of the roof is doing.
I haven't heard an update in the last couple of days. I think Jay was up there a few times, our maintenance technician, Jay, when we were doing HVAC repairs, but he's tried to not disturb her otherwise. And I don't go on the roof unless I have to. It makes me too nervous.
Wouldn't do it either.
I understand.
But we hope to give an update next time he has to
Okay,
go
good.
up there.
Well, I do appreciate those sorts of things on the library website. That's fun. Makes it a lot of fun. Okay, your real report now.
Sure. We had 7 classes, which were comprised of 207 students total from Jefferson Elementary. First graders visited the week of May 15th to learn more about the summer reading program and then to take a tour of the children's room. And then for the students that weren't able to come, our youth services librarian, Catherine Tatnall, created a video that was shown in their classrooms.
Nice.
Our summer reading program started on Monday, June 6th. So far, we've given reading logs out to over 300 children and teens. And we had 49 people at Monday's story time. So we had
Oh, my goodness.
a little crowd when we opened the doors, but it was a really great and busy day for us. A new episode of our series, Don't Forget to Read the Instructions, was released. That series has passed over 2,800 views on our YouTube channel, thanks to NewCat for doing the filming and editing for that series. And also Mike for appearing in a lot of the game videos as well.
Yay.
And then Traverse de Sioux, our regional library, applied for E-rate funding, which is meant to help libraries with internet connection. And it used to be more geared towards also telephone connection, but I think internet has kind of taken the bulk of the funding. But TDS helped us apply to install data ports in 3 locations in the library, near our self-check station, up in the youth services, or the young adult area where their collection is housed, and then also in the Fred Johnson room. And we have found a need for it, especially in the self-check area this past fall when we were having some connectivity issues with the computer and the receipt printer there. So that'll just make that a more stable connection for our self-check station. And then we also wanted to put those data ports in the young adult and Fred Johnson rooms to allow us more flexibility with how those spaces might be used in the future. So TDS staff took care of the application. All the payments and reimbursements will all go through TDS. We just need to make the space for the workers to come install those data ports for us. And we're looking at that work being done over a couple days in August after the summer reading program has ended.
Good.
And I confirmed with the finance department that they don't need any additional information on the city's end.
Okay.
The library will be closed on Monday, June 19th for Juneteenth. That was passed in the state's omnibus bill. It was supposed to go into effect next year, but it's going into effect this year, so we need to comply. We are going to be able to hold the concert in the park and the Frank Weber programs, even though the library's building will be closed that day. So we'll open the doors at 6 p.m. on Monday, June 19th for the Frank Weber program, which starts at 6:30. And then the concert in the park is at 7 p.m. in German Park along with Parks and Rec.
And you'll do the appropriate signage on the door for that.
Yep, we've got
Right,
that up. And listings on our website have been
Right.
updated to reflect the change. And then TDS Executive Director Ann Hokinson tendered her resignation, which is effective June 27th. The TDS Board's Personnel Committee met on June 1st to begin planning for the hiring process. And Carl sits on the Personnel Committee as well as the TDS Board. I don't know, Carl, if you'd like to add anything else to that update.
Oh, I can share that the Personnel Committee had another meeting earlier today, and we finalized the job description with updates, the advertisement that's going to be published, and our calendar for events during the course of the recruitment. So hopefully we can stay on track with all of that.
Well, I'm sure they're glad to have Carl's expertise on that committee.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, you've done a few job descriptions. Good. Thank you, Carl. Thank you.
And then just a note of about our statistics. I looked through what we share each month, and we are overall trending up versus past years, and it has definitely felt busier to the staff in the library. So, it has taken us a couple of years to kind of recover some of our traffic from when we were closed for the pandemic. So I'm just really excited to see that we're bustling again.
Oh, right, and the children's story time was certainly a boom.
Yes.
Great, 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 great. Any questions, comments, anything we want to ask April about before we move on?
What have been, I'm sorry, what have been the comments on Paige's testify? Can you share?
Overwhelmingly, they've been positive and glad to have the opportunity. We did have there's comment cards available. We did have one comment card that just said, sucks, but no context for it, so.
It does, yes.
One out of the, the 25 comment cards we've gotten, and it wasn't very detailed, I think is pretty good. But overall, we've had our patrons glad to have the opportunity to
Yeah,
view that.
It is really wonderful.
Yeah. Our time with it was officially up on Wednesday. We're leaving it up right now while we wait for Ann Hokinson to come pick it up and take it to the next library to be viewed. So if you haven't seen it, get in there as
Yeah.
soon as you can.
Oh, right, oh, it's fabulous,
Yeah, it
fabulous.
is.
I do have one more update to share. if
Oh,
that's
please,
okay.
go ahead.
We were invited to apply for a grant from the Mellon Foundation's Public Knowledge Program. And the reason we were invited is because we have a memory lab. And so they are looking for opportunities to support memory labs throughout the United States with the main goal of digitizing histories of populations that have been systematically excluded from having their histories preserved. Just a little bit of information and background. At this point, we've been invited to submit a concept note. And then once they've had a chance to review the concept note, we'll know if we're invited to actually apply for the grant. They do require that a 501c3 be the applying organization, and the Friends have agreed to support us submitting a concept note with the understanding that we would need to go back to them for approval again if we were invited to submit the grant application.
Have the Friends taken on the responsibility of sort of trying to noodle out what would be an appropriate focus? I just think about things that are unique to New Ulm. One of the things is the World War II prisoner of war. Another thing is, there's any number of I'll call them war brides, or people that came from were dislocated in Germany and came over in the German lands and came over here. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
On that same vein, the prisoners who, after the war, decided to stay, and why? What was
Right.
the driving force for that?
Well, right. And as far as not being told, I mean, this is not something, I talk about myself. Many, many, many years ago, I was taking a deposition of somebody who had been injured, and he was of that age, and I asked him about his war experience, and he said, well, I fought on the wrong side. So he wasn't real anxious to tell me about it, I mean, he ended up here, but it wasn't something he wanted to broadcast. It was, he wasn't something he was proud of. Well, anyway, I would hope that the Friends would take it upon themselves to sort of, give this some thought.
And they've really left it to the library staff to kind of take the lead
Oh,
on the
yeah,
shape of
okay.
the project. Their main concerns were if they are acting as the fiscal agent, what are
Right.
the full responsibilities of that role?
Sure.
And so we still have more to learn about that once
Okay.
we've submitted our concept note. If we are invited to apply for the grant, that's when we can dig into that a little bit more. Just a little bit more detail on the grant itself. The proposed project should take place over a 5-year period between January 1st of 2024 and December 31st of 2028. And the budget that you request can be anywhere between $250,000 to $1 million. So it's a very significant grant.
Very.
And at least 50% of that budget must be dedicated to memory lab, whether it's staffing, equipment, those kind of things. The two things they can't fund with this grant are capital projects like construction and services that are specifically only for K through 12 students. And then the concept notes need to be submitted by Friday, June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Oh,
I was going to say that's,
June 23rd.
oh, that's good. Okay. That was close.
Yes.
That was close.
June 23rd.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you know about the level of competition? How many candidates for how many grants?
I attended an informational session yesterday, and they didn't want to share that information. And I was very curious about, what the other libraries' memory labs looked like, because I think they're using a pretty loose definition of memory lab because it can vary from library to library depending on size and staffing capabilities and all of that.
Well, and other partners within the city might have ideas as well. I'm thinking of the Historical Society, so,
Yeah, I know Leroy was the one who brought the grant to my attention because he has been kind of the leader of our memory lab in the library, and he has already reached out to Darla at the Historical Society with some ideas.
perfect,
So,
perfect.
we'll be
Great.
spending the next couple of weeks digging into our ideas to figure out, which ones have legs that we want to submit in the concept note.
Great. Always something going on. Great. Okay, any other comments or questions, or otherwise we'll move on.
For upcoming programming, we have a lot going on this month. The calendar is in your packet and is also available on the library's website. But just to highlight a few, we have a free open swim at the rec center on Tuesday, June 13th from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. Thanks for Parks and Rec for partnering with us for that. We are holding Friday afternoon movies on June 16th and the 30th at 2 p.m. We'll be showing Bug's Life and James and the Giant Peach, respectively, those days.
Wonderful.
On Monday, June 19th at 6:30 p.m., forensic psychologist and author Frank Weber will be presenting at the library. Again, that's the day we're technically closed for Juneteenth, but we'll open the doors at 6 p.m. for that program. And then on Monday, June 19th at 7 p.m., we have the concert in the park featuring Ralph's World, who is a children's performer, another partnership with Park and Recreation. And then we have the Brian and Susan Project on Thursday, June 22nd at 4 p.m. And they are children's performers who will be performing Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox Find the Blues.
Oh, how cute.
And then we have a special story time on Monday, June 26th at 10:30 a.m. We'll be presenting music, movement, and stories with a music therapist.
Oh, fun. That's something new.
Yes.
That's something new. Great.
And I'd be-
Local person?
Yes. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about anything else that you see on the calendar.
Well, and the YouTube channel has a discussion of everything that's going on. I watch it. So, anything else? Anything else? Let's move on to a little update on the Strategic Planning Committee.
So our Strategic Planning Committee met on May 22nd to discuss the feedback we received from the public on the draft mission, vision, and value statements. The adjustments are shown in the agenda packet that's available at the city's website at newulmmn.gov if you'd like to take a look at those statements. They will meet again on Monday, July 10th at 1:30 p.m. And the next step is to begin drafting our strategic priorities and goals that we'll use to guide the activities in the action portion of the plan.
Thank you. One thing that I would note is that we had a member of the general public join us, a woman who is an avid reader and lives in assisted living. And it was very, very helpful and encouraging to see her interest and her input. It was very, very nice. Very nice.
And one of the ways we were able to make that connection with her was through the outreach that we do to senior assisted living centers in New Ulm. So
It was really good.
great program.
Good, 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 good. Anything else? Otherwise, move on to the money part.
Oh, yeah.
Money part.
So in the board packet, there is the budget discussion that kind of goes through some of the highlights of the budget point by point. If you would like, I can certainly go through each of those. Otherwise, if you have general questions or anything else you'd like me to explain a little bit further, I'd be happy to do that.
Well, this is the first step, I think, at least for me, I'm going to have to sit down with this for a while. We'll talk about it next month. And especially for anybody who's newer on the board, this is kind of the weeds, in the weeds. But if there's something that anybody would like to bring up about the budget, it doesn't seem like we're going to veer off in any one crazy direction or anything, but
Madam
anybody.
Chair, I'd like, maybe if
Oh, good.
April wouldn't mind going through some of the items
Oh, good.
in some fashion, just by way of sharing the counts and the figures that
Sure.
stand out.
Do you want me to go through the line items that we are suggesting increases in, or?
I think both increases and reductions, the things that stay the same, I don't know if they would have that same interest for me as the ones that are changing.
I don't have any this year that are going through a reduction. Last year, we had more of those because I did move the way we were coding certain items from line to line. I did do a little bit more cleanup, but with additional expenses, none of the line items went
Okay.
down.
Sure.
So some of the line items were requesting an increase just to kind of keep steady with rising cost of expenses. So that would be line items like our office supplies, an increase of $500, books, an increase of $3,000. That would include our contractual maintenance building line with an increase of $1,000, just due to the age of the building. We have more unexpected repairs from year to year that we need to deal with. In our computer supplies and equipment line, we're asking an increase of $2,000. And that is the increase is due mainly to the equipment that we're replacing on schedule next year. That would include one of our full-time staff's laptops, docking station, and monitors. The self-check station and the microfilm computers each are on schedule to be replaced. 4 of the public computers, which are Chromeboxes, so are less expensive to replace currently. And then the big one that is kind of the cause of the increase is the Memory Lab desktop. That desktop computer is a Mac, and so it's just more expensive in general. And then we do also have, I have around $2,000 budgeted in that line for incidentals if we have to, or something that we have to replace unexpectedly, because that has happened before where a machine has quit on us. In our contractual maintenance building line, some regular things that we pay for are our trash service, alarm monitoring, pest control, sprinkler inspections, elevator inspections and licenses. And then just, I have around $5,000 in that line budgeted for unexpected repairs that we do at the library. The contractual maintenance equipment line is, shows an increase of $2,300. The main driver of that increase is the increase in the number of Wi-Fi hotspots that we're offering. Though that costs us around $307 a month, or $3,684 a year, which is roughly a $2,000 increase. And then I do have just a little bit of a buffer in there for our other services that will likely increase by a few dollars each year. And then under the subscriptions and memberships line, I did move some expenses from that line up to the contractual maintenance equipment line. When I look at the maintenance equipment and the maintenance building lines, the building line is kind of anything that has to do with the building and the maintenance of that. Equipment is more of the technology licenses and maintenance, regular maintenance that we do with that. And then, so I moved our antivirus into the contractual maintenance equipment line as well. And then our subscriptions and memberships, even though we moved a couple line items out of there, that is going to remain level because of the increasing cost each year of some of our daily newspapers, and then also memberships for us for the Minnesota Library Association, the American Library Association, and the Public Library Association. With those memberships, we have access to grants, we have access to publications, and other information that is helpful for us. And then it usually involves a discounted rate to conferences if we want to attend those. And then one other spot that I did put an increase in is travel, conferences, and schools. That's the line that we use for attending conferences. And I would like to continue to increase the amount of conferences and continuing education that we're able to offer for our staff.
Good.
Do you have any specific conferences that staff are scheduled to go to next year?
Right now, we're kind of doing a rotation where we can send 2 of our full-time staff to the Minnesota Library Association Conference, so that would continue in 2024. And I have on my radar the American Library Association Conference. That's a national conference in 2024 that I would like to attend if the budget and calendar allows.
And where would that be?
That one's in San Diego, but it does
Oh,
move from
fabulous.
year to year. Yeah.
Fabulous. Is this your second year being in charge of the budget?
Yes.
Okay.
I did present the budget after the year Chris Wiley left, but she
Oh,
had
okay.
built most of it at that point.
Okay, all right. But this is the second time you've been in charge. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll be looking at this more carefully when we meet next month.
One other thing I should note is that I'm waiting on a quote for the replacement of the rest of our meeting room furniture.
Oh, right.
We did a partial replacement this
right.
year of kind
Right.
of what we need most often, but I would like to replace the rest of the chairs.
Right.
So that if we do have a larger event, we have all the same ones, and then purchase 4 more tables, and that would complete that. Right now, I have an estimation of $25,000, but I think that's a little high for what I'm going to get back with the quote, but that's my estimation at this point.
Okay.
And then I am working through some quotes on possibly replacing our service desk printer. The printer at the service desk is the one we use for the public printing. And we do some staff printing there as well, but mainly public printing. And that's been on the fritz for the last few years. And our fax machine has been quite uncooperative as well, so we could possibly replace it with an all-in-one.
Oh,
But I'm
right.
looking at comparing the cost of just purchasing one outright and then paying for toner when we need it versus having a service contract that includes toner.
Right. Oh, good for you. Yeah, good for you. Good. Anything else? Anything else? Any questions? All right. Budget. We now have an action item.
Oh, Ruth Ann, can I
Whoa.
make one more note on the
Gosh,
budget? I'm sorry.
yes. Oh, please.
Just so you know, the library board does need to approve their recommended budget at our next meeting in July.
Yes.
Because I am due to submit it to the finance department by the end of July.
Yes, this is a must. We absolutely must have a quorum, and it's, yes. Don't forget.
Is
And
that
I-
the 4th of July week?
No.
No.
No,
it's the week
July
after.
13th.
Okay.
It's the
I
week
just-
after. And,
just wanted to
and
make
if,
sure.
and you would be available if any of the board members would have some specific questions, you'd be available for that?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Well, and speaking of money, our next item of business here is resolution number 2023-12, accepting an Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund grant for program. At its May 18th, 2023 meeting, the Traverse des Sioux Regional Library Board awarded New Ulm Public Library with an Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund Legacy grant in the amount of $750 for Joey
Joey Leone.
Leone. Do you know him?
No.
Oh, okay. Joey Leone, well, you could. Joey Leone's presentation of The History of the Blues in America on Tuesday, July 25th at 6:30 p.m. Mr. Leone will present a one-hour program covering the history, influence, and social impact of American blues music through songs, story, and historical facts. Sounds fabulous.
Sounds great.
Yes, sounds great. Sounds
I just
just
want
great.
to give a kudos to Catherine Tatnall, our Youth Services Librarian, and Leroy Harris, our Programming and Technology Services Librarian. They both do an excellent job at applying for these arts and cultural heritage grants through our regional library. They've got their system down, and we're almost always on the agenda with one or more grants.
Yes, thank you.
It's excellent.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions about this grant or any reason to?
Is that going to be on YouTube for people who can't get there, like me?
As long as the performer says it's okay. We always ask the performer's permission because that is how some of these
Yeah.
people support themselves. So if they're okay with it being recorded and repeated on our channel, we're happy to do that. But again, it's up to them.
Okay.
Great,
Could be going on.
great. Sounds wonderful. I will take a motion.
Actually, we skipped over the
Did I
library
skip something?
fees schedule.
Oh, shoot. Can I pass this and then we go back to the fee schedule?
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
right.
Of course, of course.
Another error. I try to keep it under 3 a meeting, but, well, anyway. Let's, could I have a motion to pass, motion to accept this Arts and Cultural Heritage Funds grant?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Me.
All right,
Yes.
well, we got a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Megan, if you would call the roll?
Sarah? Yes. Ruth Ann?
Yes.
Yvonne?
Yes.
Mignon?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Hope? Oh, sorry, Carl?
Yes.
All right, we have a resolution, which I will not leave without signing. Now, back to the fees.
Yes, I included the fee schedule in the budget information, mainly because as part of kind of the annual call from the finance department to start their budget work, they always ask us to look at our fee schedule to see if anything can be adjusted. At this point, I'm not recommending any changes. Just something to keep on your radar, though, that I've discussed with some of our professional staff is that not all libraries charge for meeting room use.
Right, we've talked about that. At the strategic plan, when we talk about being welcoming and that sort of thing.
The library board has the final approval of our finance fee schedule, followed by city council. So that would be up to you if you wanted to make a change like that. But it's something we want to be reviewing this fee schedule as we look at our budget as well.
April, do you get many people that come in and say, how much is it, and then decide not to do it because of the cost?
Yes, in a lot of instances, that's also because they want to book it for more than one meeting. And so if they want to book it for more than one meeting, that can add up.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to be the regular user. Right. Well, that's something we've got to talk about.
What are your thoughts about it, April?
I have kind of mixed thoughts on it. It's one of the, we don't take in a lot of fine and fees really when we look at our overall revenue. But I also don't think of libraries as revenue generating. They're a service paid with your taxes. a lot of the we don't charge fines anymore, but a lot of the fees we charge are to cover additional costs, like costs of toner and printer paper, that can vary depending on how much some of these services are being used.
Well, and I guess one of the things, and I'm always, look at it with the eye of the rat, but if it's a free meeting room, you're concerned that someone is going to say, oh, every Tuesday from 4 to 6 belongs to me, and are just sort of, kind of taking advantage. But maybe that isn't really fair.
Well, and that is something we can address in our meeting room policy as well.
Right.
Yeah.
We do have a limitation in there on, based on whether they're a for-profit or not-for-profit organization, how frequently during one calendar years they can book the meeting room. So we do have some limits on that. And one of the challenges that we face is having the meeting room open for our library programs too.
Right. Right.
Sometimes when we have something like the tax prep program, it gets really hard to schedule children's programs, late afternoon when kids are off of school.
Well, and not to segue into what we talked about, well, I'm going to. One of the things that, we've talked about these pods, and I know they're expensive. We've talked about, creating a pod. The last strategic plan talked about, revamping that second floor area. But those are sort of big picture items. If we could have a type of enclosed space for the tax prep people to work at, then the downstairs library space would be open. But who knows how that would work? I've never used the tax prep people, so I don't have a sense of what type of space they need.
Well, and there are lots of options. We could look at a partition in the meeting room, so multiple things could happen in there. We could look at, study rooms or converting some of the space we have to use in different ways. So there's a lot of options there, and I think, we do have the donation we received from Charlotte and Hobart Anderson that we haven't made any plans on how to spend that. So we do have some funding, and there are lots of grant opportunities out there where we could pursue some of these projects too.
Good.
That's those
It's a good
movable
thing we didn't
wall
skip
things.
over this.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, good.
It's not a thing that's free, though, because each time it's rented, I'm sure there's staff hours spent with
Cleaning.
cleaning, furniture rearranging, and so forth, so.
We do require that they do the furniture moving themselves. And that was a part of the reason why we wanted to replace those tables, because it's much easier to wheel them around than to lift them around. And we do ask that they, if they have food or something, they take out the garbage, those kind of things.
I have to say, recently I had an opportunity to plan for a family gathering, and the time that everybody could meet, New Ulm was booked solid, and the library was open, and I did not think it was, I thought it was an extremely reasonable amount of money for the use. Sadly, other things happened, and I had to cancel the reservation, but I thought it was really reasonable. So, I don't know.
And we charge that $25 for 4 hours or less, or $40 for 4 hours or more, and then you would pay that fee each day that you book. The only entities that we don't charge for use of the meeting room are city or county departments, because our funding comes from those agencies.
Great. Great. Thank you.
Welcome.
Other business? Any other business to come before this board? Hearing none. Meeting adjourned. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go.